Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Friday. We are right here, as always, getting you ready for week 3. We're breaking down everything that we saw on Thursday Night Football. But Adam, it's a big week. If you're 0-2, you know that this is one of those weeks where you're like, oh man, I gotta get this win. If you're sitting nice at 2-0, you're like, okay, let's keep it rolling. But we've got some pretty good games to break down, some pretty interesting matchups as well, and of course, all the backup quarterbacks that we have coming in for week 3 as well. We're just putting our trust in guys like Carson Wentz and Jake Browning. What could go wrong? How you doing? How's it going?
Going well. Yeah, nothing could go wrong. I
Nothing
mean,
could go
we're
wrong. Yeah.
we're into the spot of the season already where people are digging deep at quarterback. But hey, we've been in this situation before. People have rebounded from it, made the playoffs, reached championships. So yeah, sometimes
You got
it
this.
looks pretty bleak, but again, we're here to help and we'll help you get through it. And again, the goal is to make the playoffs. So 0-2 teams, plenty have been 0-2 and made the playoffs. And that's what you want to do. Just get in, and we know anything can happen. We've been on both sides of it, where you've been
Yep.
like the best team, top seed. You lose to that hot team that gets in the playoffs, and you've been that hot team that turned around your season from 0-2, 0-3, and then went on to win a championship. So you just can't give up. And I do see a lot of people discouraged and demoralized after just 2 weeks. And look, I have some 0-2 teams, but some of them that's the one thing. Some of them you look at it, you go, yeah, this could be in trouble. But again, we have a lot of players off to slow starts that we know are going to turn around. You could just go back and look at last year, some of the players through 2 weeks and where they finished. And a lot of them were awful the first 2 weeks and wound up finishing top 5, top 10 at the position.
Oh
So
yeah.
it is still early. I know people hate hearing that said, but it's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're right here. We don't give up on this show. So we know everyone listening is going to keep grinding it out and hopefully get some wins here in the next couple of weeks. But more specifically, this week, Adam, let's you want to start breaking down Thursday night football? I will say, shout out to the Miami Dolphins because I thought that that was just going to be a blowout of a game, just one that's not necessarily fun. You could go walk around your house for a little while it's going on, but they kept it pretty entertaining and they kept it way closer than I expected it to come down to. So Buffalo is now 3-0. They took away a win 31-21 in that game. Miami Dolphins, we know now 0-3, winless so far. Oh, and I thought they were gonna at least be able, Adam, to march down the field. So the Miami Dolphins were trailing the Bills by 7. They were in good field position as well. And then Tua Tagovailoa, short pass intended for Jalen Waddle, gets picked off. They step up and they give the Buffalo Bills the ball back with 3 minutes left to play. So they weren't able to get it done. Josh Allen, 22 of 28 for 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. We knew that that was going to come after a game in which he had 0 touchdowns. And then Tua Tagovailoa, 22 for 34 for 146, 2 touchdowns, and we got some fantasy points. That's all that matters. If you had Etienne, of course, if you had Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I was pretty happy with the outcome, to be honest.
Yeah, look, it was an entertaining game, right? It was
Yeah.
tied at 21. It was back and forth. Miami hung in there. It looked like they weren't going to be able to stop the Bills early. They were able to get them to punt, but that running into the kicker call really was critical. But yeah, for the most part, on the Miami side, you got what you needed. I mean, I hope many people are not starting Tua right now. Maybe in a super flex league you are, but just 4.3 yards per pass attempt. I
Yeah,
mean,
not good.
it's the same thing. A lot of short passes. uh, but yeah, you got what you needed from the other guys. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 49 and a touchdown. Again, you hope for more with Tyreek Hill, but I think we're to the point right now. You're just happy that he got double digits and found the end zone, his first touchdown of
Yes.
the season. But look, through 2 games, he's been held to 50 yards or fewer in 2 of the 3. So we're not seeing the big plays. He had the 47-yard reception last week to break that streak where he had gone more than a year without a 30-yard reception, and he didn't get the big play yesterday. Tua is just struggling with the deep ball.
Oh
I
my
mean, there
gosh.
was
Yeah.
one he threw to Tyreek, and Tyreek had to come back and wait for it, and then
He
the
just
defenders
full
batted
stop,
it
full
away.
stop.
Yeah.
He had a full stop running full speed downfield, and then you have to stop, come back around. Yeah, it's not going to work.
So yeah, right now, like if you faded Tyreek Hill in fantasy drafts, I think you don't like again, you don't feel like, oh, I lost out on something. That's always the fear with a player like Tyreek Hill, because I didn't draft him anywhere, but I did say he was one of those players that you could look pretty bad. Like it was just two
Mhm.
years ago, he had a huge season. But I was just more worried about this offense. What was going to be his attitude? Would he get traded? So look, if you started him yesterday, you're happy. It's now 2 straight games that he's gone double digit in the PPR. It's just not that ceiling that maybe some were hoping for would bounce back after the struggles last year. Jalen Waddle, it was a grind to get there. He did not have a catch until the end of the first half, and then it went for a touchdown only for 3 yards. And then he finishes 5 for 39 and a touchdown. So you'll take that. And with Etienne, 7 receptions, 29 yards. But hey, in PPR formats, you love
We'll
it.
take it.
And the 62 yards rushing on 12 carries. Although we did see a lot more Ollie Gordon.
And Ollie Gordon looked pretty good too. So that was what did he? So Ollie Gordon had what nine? He was a little bit in rushing and receiving. So he had where am I looking? Nine carries for 38 yards and that one touchdown. Oh no, and then that's it. No receiving. I'm
Yeah,
looking
no
at another
receiving.
line.
They used him a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, that where he scored that touchdown, he had 3 straight plays where he was in near the goal line. So I saw some HN managers complaining, but
Come
I
on,
don't
you
think
still
there's.
have
Yeah,
HN.
the usage for HN is
Fine.
insane. We talk. I think going into the game wasn't it like 93% of the snaps. So it's a short week. I
Mhm.
didn't see. Let's see how many snaps he played. He played 47. Gordon 15. So HN played
Yeah.
a little bit less than usual, but tough to complain with all the passes he gets.
Yeah, but it was one of those things for Ollie Gordon managers. I think now hang on a little bit. We that doesn't mean that you're obviously going to go in and start him. He's not in that territory yet. But it is nice to see some of the guys that you have on your bench. If you're just sitting there thinking, is this time? Is it time to cut him for someone else? If you have to do that, we understand it. But yeah, Ollie Gordon looked good. Malik Washington got a little bit of work too. I remember you talking about him yesterday. Pete wrote him up in the newsletter. So maybe one of those deeper formats you can go try and get him. I'm going to write him up for the waiver wire going into next week. Again, more of a stash play, not someone that you're going to say, I'm starting him every single week, because that is just not going to happen. But it was good to see him get involved again as well.
Yeah, I
Good.
don't think you could start him at this
No.
point. I mean, he still played 20 less snaps than Waddle and Hill. And again, this offense is heavily concentrated on Achane, Tyreek, and Waddle. So, but everyone believes that Tyreek Hill
I
might
was
get
going to
traded.
say,
If
when
that
he gets
happens,
traded.
yeah. So that's so it's more deep performance because I started getting some questions on Washington, and maybe because we were talking about him yesterday. But in leagues with like just 16 roster spots, I don't think
Yeah,
you
you
can
don't need
roster
it.
him right now because again, we have bye weeks coming up in week 5. And we have all these injuries, so he's not someone that you could put in your starting lineup right now. Even in leagues like we play in a couple leagues together with 20 roster spots. I don't
Mhm.
even think you could start him there at this point. But in that type of format, he should
Yeah,
have he should have
you want
already
him.
been on a roster.
Yeah, I picked him up. I picked him up this week, and I was like, okay, let's just wait and see, because other guys, that are on some of your rosters, you could say, okay, he's not doing much for me. It's sometimes time that you say, all right, I gotta drop this guy, gotta drop that guy, and hopefully pick someone up that's going to give you production later on down the road. I will say the trade deadline is not until November 4th, Tuesday, November 4th. So we've got a ways, but that's the one thing with Tyreek Hill that I could see happening. If they continue to lose, which it feels like they are going to continue to lose.
Well, have you seen their
Uh,
schedule coming up? They
is
actually
it
might
good?
win some
Oh,
games.
okay. Go
Yeah, home
Dolphins.
to the Jets, at Carolina, home to the Chargers, at the Browns. They could win
They
two
could
or
win
three of
two,
those. Yeah,
two, three. Oh, Browns.
potentially. Yeah.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
could we see Dylan Gabriel by then? October
Ooh,
19th. We talked about the
probably.
Browns schedule to start. It's
Listen,
pretty brutal.
we love it with Joe Flacco because we know that he's going
Yeah.
to put up fantasy points, but at some point the organization's going to look and say, okay, our fantasy teams can't keep doing that. Like, we can't keep doing this because of fantasy. We have to start trying to win some games. And yeah, I don't. That's the one thing though with Tyreek Hill. You could tell it's still like the body language stuff though, Adam. Like, it's just it doesn't feel like, no matter if they're winning or if they're not, it feels like it's probably not going to get better with that team. So I don't know, Tyreek Hill going anywhere and kind of having it's more that we can kind of attribute it to what we saw with Devontae Adams last season, where at the start of the year you said, ugh, okay, this isn't great. And then all Devontae Adams managers, once he was traded, of course, he went with his BFF Aaron Rodgers and he was peppered with targets, but you were really happy about the back half of the year production. And so I think Tyreek Hill managers, you're still happy with the double digit, even if it's low double digit fantasy points, you're happy with it. But I have him in one of those high stakes leagues that I told you about. I showed you that
Yeah.
draft, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it could continue this way, but it could also get better if there is a trade. So you just have to wait and see.
He did have praise for Mike McDaniel after the game
Oh,
with the way he
that's good.
coached. So yeah, you like to see that. But yeah, there's still a chance that this could. The thing is, McDaniel definitely kept his job at least another week, right? Because I think that was the big story going to last night's game. If Miami didn't show up, that's it. But he coached well. They
He
played
did.
well. I mean, they showed up. They did not fold, and they could have, and they didn't.
Yeah, I was happy to see it, right? It was one of those things where we said if you get embarrassed, maybe it's a different conversation. But they didn't, and they looked pretty good. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's a GM firing. They gave McDaniel an extension last season, 2024. So I don't. Someone, it's not looking good, right? I'm not going back on McDaniel's, being on the hot seat because he is, but maybe they look. Elsewhere. I know that they've said because, of course, Adam, they're not going to come out and say, "Yeah, we're looking to fire our head coach," but they said they don't want to have to do that. So Miami Dolphins, though. I mean, if you have Achan, if you have some of these guys, especially Jalen Waddle, it's going to be close start sit decisions for you. But last night you were happy with the results. James Cook is just going to continue at this pace, Adam, and he's gonna double up his touchdowns from last season, and he'll just look at us and he'll laugh. But he looked good last night again. Ran the ball 19 times for 108 yards, and then I think he had total of 22 touches in this game. So he only caught 3 passes, but he still looked really good.
Yeah, I wish I knew Buffalo was gonna be this
Give him
generous
more of
and
a
give him
workload.
these touches
Yeah.
this year because that would have really changed things. But yeah, look, he's phenomenal. I mean, I don't think anyone disputed that. Anyone who was worried about Cook was worried about the touches and the way that they utilized 3 running backs. And in fact, in this game, we saw Ray Davis fall behind Ty Johnson. Ray Davis played 4 snaps last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something where a lot of people were drafting Ray Davis as the backup. Now, obviously, if something were to happen to Cook, you'd see a split. I don't think they're giving Ty Johnson the majority of the workload, but that was pretty interesting last night. But yeah, Cook has just been great. But he was great last year. It's just
Yeah.
he had 207 carries last year, and that's just not ideal. He's got 53 through 3 games, so he's already on pace to like
Jeez.
shatter what he did last year.
Yeah.
He's also being more involved in the passing game. He had 38 targets in 16 games last year. He's got 9 through 3. So I think I said if he just gets like 50 targets, that would be more beneficial to him. And obviously, he's on pace for a lot more than that. So yeah, it's a great start. And those that took James Cook in round 4 are feeling really, really good right now. As
Oh yeah.
he says, touchdown regression. Yeah, take that because I'm going to score more touchdowns this year.
Yeah, he's like, "What touchdown? I'm paid, I'm happy, I'm ready to go." And that's the one thing too, the expanded role. That was what we always looked at. We said, "Hey, if this does happen," because listen, I was on the full James Cook, he could regress. He can't score this many touchdowns in the offseason. I like to be transparent with that, but it was okay if they did give him this expanded role, that would look really good for him. And that so far is what it's looking like they're going to do. And it helps him though, Adam. That's the one part of their game where it's like, yeah, he's just looking really good while he's doing it. So he was able, obviously, James Cook managers are happy as can be through these first 3 weeks of the season
What's
because he's
crazy?
looking
So
good.
if we're drafting today, who would you draft first, James Cook or Chase Brown?
Oh man, probably Cook.
It's Cook, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Cook.
So I do the
I'm
rest. I do rest of the season rankings now on
oh,
Fantasy
you put
Life.
him, yeah.
I have James Cook at 25. I probably will
Yeah,
rise him
that
for next
I was
week.
gonna say he'll just probably keep going up and
He's
up.
gonna keep
Yeah.
going up.
The Chase Brown, not great yet, but I'm curious, with the quarterback changes and everything, what that's going to look like. Chase Brown managers, they're not unhappy, but they're not,
You,
ecstatic.
yeah, you're getting the volume, right?
Hmm.
That's there. It's the efficiency's not. And one of the appeals of Chase Brown was explosive offense, a lot of opportunities to score touchdowns. Now we figure that offense going to take a little bit of a step back. They'll still be good, but
Yeah,
you don't expect the same amount of scoring opportunities without Burrow.
exactly. So yeah, I think James Cook definitely rest of season rankings live over at fantasylife.com. Love it. Those are difficult to do. So
They are
hats off to
challenging.
you. I was gonna say those are tough to do. Just finishing up this game here. Hopefully anyone who started Dalton Kincaid was happy as can be, I guess. Caught 5 of 6 targets. You got 66 yards and a touchdown. Could have looked like it could have been 2. But he had a good night over there.
Yeah, so the one thing I'm seeing, and I know Dwayne McFarland tweeted this out about the rotation at tight end, where you're just not seeing Kincaid play a lot. It's basically a three-way split at tight end. And the way I look at it is, look, if he's on the field, he's getting targets. I really don't care. Obviously, you would like to see more. And look, Kincaid's not going to go off every single week. We know that, but
Yeah.
it seems like he's finally healthy because Matthew Berry wrote that in like his off-season column where he was told that Kincaid was never healthy the entire year. That knee was a lot worse than they were letting on, and now we know why the performance was so bad last year. But it's 2 touchdowns in 3 games now for Kincaid. At least 4 receptions in every game and 48, 37, and 66 yards. So you'll take it. As much as
Yeah.
Buffalo spreads the ball around, it seems they are making it a point to get the ball to Kincaid a little bit more. And he led the team in targets. So we know the state of the position at tight end. It looks like Kincaid, if you have him, you're going to start him most weeks. You could have been in a spot where you drafted Kincaid Ingram, Kincaid Njoku. I think it's Kincaid at this point for now going forward.
Yeah, I think he'll be in. I was looking way ahead. This is for next week, but he'll probably check in like maybe tight end 10, 12 range because they're taking on the Saints week 4.
Yeah, I had
So,
him like tight end 13 going in the year. I think I only have him in one redraft. I know I have him in best ball. Obviously, wish I had him in more now.
yeah,
Uh,
I don't have him. I don't have him anywhere.
yeah, it feels like he's in a better spot right now. But again, there will be down weeks the way this team is built. They're just they spread the ball around so much. And again, said it after week 1 with Keon Coleman. Like people got way too excited. It's just not going to happen every week. Like Keon Coleman cannot have this breakout season the way this team is designed. This is
Yeah.
now, and this was a competitive game too, right? This was the game where you said, okay, if there's any week that Coleman could have that big game again, it would be this week, like in week 1. Week 2, it was just not competitive. They didn't need to pass, but just look at the way they spread the ball out. It's infuriating, man. I mean, Tyrell Shavers is getting
Yeah, it's
Jackson
brutal.
Hawes with a touchdown. Elijah Moore is getting design plays and runs.
I know.
It's tough to eat when that's the situation. So, I mean, look at this. What was there? Like 11 different players got a target, 10 caught a
Yeah.
pass. I mean,
Yep. It
it's
was
tough.
brutal. And the other part is that they're winning that way. They're not
And
going
they're
to change.
running the ball so well.
And they're running the ball well and they're winning. They're not going to change their ways when this is happening. And they're usually, I mean, I wouldn't call this a dominant win because I think the Dolphins
No.
did stick around, but they're winning these games. There's some things that they have to clean up for the there's some things that they have to clean up for the Bills, but I think it's more on the defensive side, but you're going to continue to see it go this way.
Wow.
So
So, and look at their schedule too. Tell me the game in here where you say, okay, they can spread. There'll be enough production for these receivers to go around. Home to the Saints, home
nope.
to the Patriots. That's a Sunday night game. At Atlanta, at Carolina. Those are the next 4. Like, do we
Yeah.
see? Maybe there's
No.
one in there that we get surprised at. Maybe the
Maybe the
Patriots keep it
yeah,
close. Maybe the
Patriots or the
Falcons.
Falcons.
Falcons defenses play pretty well. And then after that, they have the Chiefs. And maybe by then, the Chiefs will Rice be back by then? Yeah, I think
Yes, he
Rice will
will
be
be.
back for that
Yep.
game. Yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
the Chiefs give them a game.
So wait for 5 weeks. That's what you're saying. Just give
Like,
it 5 more weeks and it'll be okay.
but I look,
I get it though.
I don't have Keon Coleman in redraft. I have him in best ball. But like, do you have Keon Coleman in
I
redraft?
have him in 1. I have him in 1. Yeah. But it's always that tough decision where you're like, it's the 2 flexes, 3 wide receivers.
Yeah. So I guess in
So
that format, you're
it's
probably putting him in many weeks because you might not have better options on your bench. But between
yeah.
with him and even Shakir, like, yeah, cool. Shakir had a touchdown, but 4 for 45.
Yeah.
So it's the same problem with like people were talking about Josh Palmer before the year. I mean,
I
come on.
know.
Do you
I
really like
know.
how do you expect these guys when it's a rotation at receiver for them to produce consistently in fantasy? It's just not going to happen.
It's one in those deeper formats, like you said. I never feel comfortable doing it. It's just kind of who landed with me at the time of the draft. So you never feel comfortable, but you put him in some weeks and just say, well, I hope that it is one of these games where he is just focused on a little bit more. But usually not happening here, Adam. But a good game nonetheless from the Buffalo Bills. Again, 3-0, won that game 31-21. Miami Dolphins still looked all right, but they're going 0-3 into week 4. We've got rankings, risers and fallers. I want to talk about some easy to tough matchups here. I want to break down Justin Herbert and our expectations going up against the Denver Broncos, Javonte Williams, DK Metcalf in a good spot. We've got all those names and more here coming up next. Oh yeah, we are right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Friday, getting you ready for all things Week 3 in the NFL. We'll be checking Twitter, X, whatever you call it, at KValens. I never get it right, Adam. It's some days I get it, some days I don't. At KValenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there. If you have questions, I've seen some start sits come through, so saving those, hoping that we can get to as many as we can here today. But I wanted to start off, Adam, going through some more just rankings where we have guys going into this weekend, and specifically some tougher matchups and some matchups we're pretty excited about. So starting with Justin Herbert for the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Denver Broncos, a team that last weekend maybe they didn't go play up to the standards that we expected them to, but here we go. Justin Herbert, those divisional games are always tough. I'm curious what your expectations are for not only Herbert and this defense, but Herbert and the guys that we've been looking around and saying, wow, okay, we're still talking about Quentin Johnston. Ladd McConkey was able to practice yesterday, so that's good news as well. What do you think about this game?
I think the Chargers are in a tough spot here because they've been playing so well. They played Monday night, and it's a shorter week, and now they got a divisional opponent. So I think this is a tough spot for the Chargers. But I do think you have Justin Herbert, you're playing him. I don't really care right now
Yeah.
who the defense is. And yes, we saw, if you look at like fantasy points against, Denver's like one of the best against quarterbacks, but they faced Cam Ward in his debut when Ward was on the road in Denver, and he only had 112 passing yards. And then we saw Daniel Jones have a good game against them last week. He had 316 passing yards, a touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. And we know
Yeah.
Herbert has talked about he wanted to run more, and he's doing it. You know, a lot of times we hear things in the offseason, guys say, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. This running back's going to play out of the slot more and all this stuff, and it never happens. But with Herbert, it is actually happening. He is becoming more of a threat on the ground, which makes me want to look at his rushing props,
Oh, okay.
or his
Could be your
even,
new guy.
or even his. Look at his carries: 9 carries for 31 yards, and then he had 7 carries for 32. So he is making it a point to run more. So I'm playing Herbert if I have him. I mean, he looks like the quarterback that was drafted in that. I don't think he ever went top 10 in the draft, right?
No,
Maybe
I usually didn't see it.
between 12 and 18. There
Yeah.
were a couple drafts where I saw a couple of people aggressive on him. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I've always liked them. It's just I didn't think they would come out passing like this. You know, we think of them as being a run first team, but we did see towards last year once he got healthy, they started to pass more, and they've
Yeah.
continued that into this year. So, yeah, if I have Herbert, I'm starting him unless like maybe there's no way you took
There's
Herbert
not.
in an elite
Well,
quarterback, right? I guess
I
maybe.
mean, maybe if he
I
was
guess
falling.
I guess if you have Dak Prescott and Herbert, you'd start Dak, right? Because of the matchup
Yeah,
against
I
Chicago.
I would. I've
Yeah.
got I've got Herbert, and I think I'm going to move him. I haven't updated my rankings today yet, but I have him at QB9, and I could see myself taking him all the way up to 7, but I
Yeah.
still have Dak Prescott ahead of him. So you've got only a handful of those elite quarterbacks that are going to go ahead of him.
Yeah. So I would play him this week for sure if I had him.
Yeah, it's and like you said, we've been talking about them just passing more since their bye last year. I remember that's when the switch happened and we said, "Okay, this is interesting," and it stuck the whole rest of the year, but the conversations coming in when you draft, Omarion Hampton, you're sitting here saying, "Okay, they're probably going to get back to, their run heavy ways. They want to be a run heavy team first, and it's just not happening." So, I agree with you. If you have them, you're going to start them. It might be, it is going to be. It's not going to be a might. It will be a tougher matchup here because even though the Broncos, what they looked like against Indianapolis, they've held opposing quarterbacks third lowest completion percentage at 56.5%, and then the third worst total QBR in on the year. So again, just a couple of weeks, and I know we saw what Daniel Jones was able to do, but the Denver Broncos are trying to get not back on track, but a little bit. And for Quentin Johnston, there, I think that's the one that I've seen a ton of questions on, and I think he is one of those guys that you drafted him, you didn't expect to be starting him right away, but he is in that flex territory. I'm thinking he draws Patrick Surtain, but I could be wrong on that one. What do you think with QJ going into this weekend?
Yeah, he could. There's certainly that's the possibility, and that's not a good thing, obviously. But you have to, if you have him at this point, you're feeling pretty good, right? I think a lot of people obviously has the reputation of he can't catch passes, but he's looked good,
Yeah.
and 23% target share right now, and also often getting first reads, and it helps when you got Keenan Allen and Lad McConkey there. So it's a tough team to defend right now.
Yeah, it is. So we'll see if he gets. I think he will get some coverage from Sertan this weekend. But again, that's it's a tough defense, so you have to be a little bit careful there. But like you said, Adam, you are happy with what he's been giving you going into this weekend. I did not expect it. Going to put my hand up there. I wanted to see if this is a matchup highlight for you, looking at DK Metcalf, Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots, and just what we think from him. We know that we talked last week. He was having the revenge game that he wanted. So going up against the Seattle Seahawks, but where do you have him going into this weekend? And I think this is actually going to be a good. I think this is going to be a good game for him.
Man, I was doing the injury report. It's up on the site now, but we do mostly the obviously skill position players. Christian Gonzalez, did he practice
Yes,
yesterday?
I let me look. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think I
something I would want to keep an eye on. But yeah, look, uh, DK's not been great so far. That's the one thing. 20% target share, like you would expect it to be higher. Uh,
he was back in
okay,
practice
yeah. So I
yesterday.
would think, yeah. So that's not
Maybe.
ideal for Metcalf.
Yeah. You don't like it though. I understand what you're saying because of the hamstring injury. It's been problematic to say the least for the Patriots defense.
Yeah, I thought the Patriots defense would be better, but they've had some injuries, and having Christian Gonzalez out has been a big reason for that. So, getting him back would
Metcalf
certainly
Metcalf
help.
hasn't had this big target share either.
No,
Or
I
the
just
it's
said, yeah, it was like
that's the thing. It's
20%. Like, really?
yeah.
Like, you figured going to Pittsburgh and with the lack of competition with other top players there that he would get more. So,
Mm,
I think in most situations, though, if you have Metcalf, you're probably playing him at this point, right? You drafted him as
yeah.
maybe your wide receiver 3, depending on the format, because he was going around 5 quite a bit, sometimes around 4.
At least you look at this defense and you say, okay, even if Gonzalez is healthy enough to return, it's not going to be 100%. That's something that we kind of already know. And so you look at this team through 2 weeks. Four, one, two, three, four receivers have scored 13 or more fantasy points on this defense. So you at least look at that and hope that it gets a little bit better. Yeah, DK Metcalf has done this his entire career for us though in fantasy.
He's
Minus
been
minus one. It
he's been overvalued,
hasn't lived up
he
to
really has.
expectations every year.
No, he had a couple like a big year early in his career, and every year we overdraft him in fantasy. It's happened every year. This year, maybe it looked better because you said, okay, finally, there's not as much competition. But it's also an offense that we didn't expect to be very pass heavy and
Yeah.
Arthur Smith there and everything. But yeah, it's been look, he saved his day last week with a touchdown. He had 3 catches for 20 yards.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But
He
it's
didn't
been
have he
that
didn't have
bad.
a reception longer than 9 yards last week. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's looks like it's going to be another disappointing season for Metcalf. Wow, 13 targets, 7 receptions. What happened to
Yeah.
that catch rate?
Stop. Get out of here.
Jeez.
It's not good, but at least I can tell you something nice about the Patriots defense this weekend and hopefully he does turn it on. But yeah, it's just it like you said, it's one of those guys where because of the range that he went, you unfortunately, unless you took some of those later round picks and they're looking a little bit better, like maybe a Quinn Johnston that we just talked about, you're probably starting him, which is unfortunate. Not unfortunate though, by the way, for Javonte Williams managers. Hand up, wasn't me. I don't have much of him. I think I have him in one spot, and it was one of those picks where I said, Adam, I said, okay, if he does do well, I want to at least have one share of him. And look at him through the first 2 weeks. Week one, I remember you and I talking. We said, okay, he kind of fell into the end zone. You had the 2 touchdowns, but he is off to an incredible start. 45.4 fantasy points, third among running backs, and then 31 rushing yards over expected. That's per next gen stats. Listen, he looks good, and now he has a highlight of a matchup when you're looking at the Cowboys playing the Bears.
Javonte Williams is the
Come on.
RB3 in fantasy points
Come
per
on.
game. That is insane. So, yeah, he definitely looked better in week 2. And look, the Cowboys are telling you we believe in them, right? Basically, what they did this offseason, Jaden Blue has been inactive, a healthy inactive the first 2 weeks. And they've just said, we're going to give Javonte Williams the ball a lot. Now, I will see if that can last over the entire season, but that doesn't matter right now. If you have him, he's in your lineup. And yeah, I was out on him. I didn't think he would, number one, get this volume and be this productive. And I don't think anyone did, because anyone who is victory lapping Javonte Williams, like, come on, you took him in around 9 or 10. And what was your reasoning? Well, he's a starting running back that's here. I'll take him. Because no one expected this. No one did.
Yeah,
Maybe there's one person, maybe people in
I
his
think
family. I don't know, but
himself.
it's a good matchup. Again, this is going to be this is the game everyone's going to look at in DFS this week. So if you think you're
Yeah.
being cute, you're not. Everyone's going to stack this game. 50.5 point total. Cowboys and Bears defenses have both been absolutely pathetic. So yeah, Javonte Williams, if you have him, you're feeling really good right now because he was probably drafted as someone on your bench, and now you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I got to figure out a way to get him in my lineup. And you know what? I wish I had him on my teams now.
Listen to this stat. They ran the ball 48% of the time in the red zone in 2024 and have opted to run for now 60% of the time in
I don't
2025.
like that. As someone
That's
who has Dak Prescott, I
crazy.
don't like
Oh
that.
my gosh. It's a smash this weekend for Javonte Williams. He's a smash play. You can see it in any write-up that you look at. But we've got, the utilization report live. We've got our rankings and tiers updated as well. So you can go and check that out. But yeah, Javonte Williams. Shout out to Javonte Williams managers. We're jealous. That's all that it is. We're very jealous of you. Let's continue on here, Adam. We've got more. I want to go through more start sit questions and of course questions I see over there on X. I see a couple that we're going to get to at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis and big questions going into week 3. I want what we think Omarion Hampton is going to look like. Cam Skattebo, even if he's taken over the backfield, what does that role look like? We're going to do that here coming up next. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. That's right, football fans. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. This year's schedule is absolutely stacked with rivalries and revenge games, including the next chapter of the epic Bills Chiefs saga. So stay connected to it all on any device at home or on the go. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today and count on Sundays for another must-see season of the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Oh, it sure is. We are right here back with you again, another Friday, and we are here to take any and all questions that you have. And of course, fantasylife.com. If you don't have time to call in today, send us a message. Make sure you go over there. All of our week 3 projections are live. We update our rankings every single day. And the start sit tool that is so handy. You can sync your leagues and it'll tell you which guys to start, which guys to stay going into this weekend. Let me just hit on this piece of news that we got yesterday, because it is definitely something that you just mentioned in the break, Adam, that we have to pay attention to, keep an eye on, because Tucker Kraft did go down with what sounded at the time was a bad knee injury. Now we're kind of getting more updates that Adam Schefter says that it was, quote, a little scared today. Another one of Adam Schefter's sources said that they think he will be okay. They said that he is not expected to miss an extended period of time. That always worries me just a little bit, Adam, because if we're going that far, saying, okay, he's not going to miss a ton of time, that still makes me believe that it was bad enough that maybe we don't see him this weekend. You saw a little bit of an update from Tom Pelissero. So again, we don't really know where he's at right now. We are going to, once they get out onto the practice field, but just something to monitor and make sure you have a backup plan just in case.
Yeah, they scared the hell out of us.
Yeah,
The
no
fantasy
kidding.
community was in shambles. Like, no, because usually you hear, yeah, it's not a season-ending injury. What? That means probably an extended period of time. And then, obviously, like you said, Schefter came out and said, yeah, it's not as bad as they thought. So his status, though, for this week is still in question. We'll see what the practice reports are today with Green Bay. But if you do have Tucker Kraft, I would say prepare to be without him this week. And yeah, not good. We're feeling great about drafting Tucker Kraft, off to a really good start.
Yep.
Looks like he could lead that team in targets, and then to deal with this later in the week is not ideal. So, yeah, I would just say have a backup plan for Tucker Kraft.
We can't have nice things. It's fine.
No, it's
No, it's fine.
basically we're having injuries at quarterback, tight end, receiver, but the running backs have stayed relatively healthy once again.
Ugh, I'm going to draft 3 running backs in a row
I think
next
I
year.
am too. Like if I did a new draft today, I'm just going.
I'm just not
I'm
even
just
gonna mess
going
with
3
it.
straight running backs. Just give
I'm
me all
just
those
gonna
guys.
give me all the running backs and I'll figure my life out after that. Like that's just what I have to do now. It's insane. But again, Tucker Kraft, we don't have immediate updates today. Again, they said it doesn't look like a long-term injury yesterday. It sounded way worse at the beginning. And then as the hours went by, you were like, okay, it sounds like he should be good to go, but have a backup just in case we hear bad news news going into this weekend because, like you said, Adam, it's the later injuries in the week that really start to get us concerned if they're ready to go. So we'll keep an eye on that. I want to know because I have gotten so many, and I'm sure you have too, Omarion Hampton questions. And I think we just broke this game down a little bit, talking about what it's going to look like and what are the expectations for this team. But Omarion Hampton, again, it feels like a guy in the range that you drafted him. You might not have better options unless you waited for a Jordan Mason. I'm not recommending Cam Skattebo over Omarion Hampton, but some people have said, "Hey, is it going to look better for Skattebo this weekend than Hampton?" Listen, it's going to be the same thing where we say, "I'm going to be patient with it." But Los Angeles, when you look at it, has the league's highest pass rate over expectation. But it's just one of those things where they're just not running as much as we thought, and he's not getting the time that we thought either. So where do you have rest of season? I'm curious where you put him rest of season, but this weekend, obviously he's in a startable range, but you're just not happy with what you've seen.
No, you're definitely not. And last week, Hampton had 4 carries in the first half. They just came out passing the ball. And then we saw a lot of Najee Harris in the fourth quarter. He played most of that fourth quarter last week. And late in the game, as they're trying to eat out the clock, it was a fumble. Now, originally it was given to Hampton. They changed it. It was given to Justin Herbert. So obviously, the next play we saw, or the next series, we saw Harris in there to close out the game, which again was running out the clock. So they probably said, yeah, we're not going to give the rookie another chance to potentially mess this up. So yeah, look, I think Hampton right now he's outside the RB2 range until we see this change. And again, you don't want to give up, you don't want to panic, but it hasn't been good so far. It's only 2 games, but this is not what you wanted because Hampton started going the third round. Maybe you
Yeah.
took him in the fourth. So, like you said, there might be situations where you don't have a better running back. I know I only have him in one league. It was one of my last leagues, and I said, you know what? Let me get him. I don't have him, and yeah, I kind of wish I could take that back. Nah, uh,
I get it.
hopefully it gets better. Again, with these rookies, we've seen it every year. You just go back. Even Jameer Gibbs barely touched the ball his first 4 games. Etienne was inactive week 1, and he's not in a role that those guys could be in as far as like in the pass catching. But they did draft him early. They believe in him. And Najee Harris, though, back maybe before many people thought. There was a sentiment that maybe he wouldn't be ready for week 1, and he was. So, yeah, with Hampton, I think he's outside the top 24 right now.
Yeah, I've got him at RB 26, and I think I'm going to keep him there. If not, push him maybe to 28. But there are close start sits. I mean, if you have, I have one where I have David Montgomery, and I think I might be going David Montgomery over Amari and Hampton this
They do
weekend.
get Baltimore, though.
I
That's a
know, but
problem.
Amari and Hampton in Denver. I don't know. Jacory Croskey-Merritt or Amari and Hampton. Where would you go? That's the one where I know a
That's
lot of people are. I'm curious what it's going to look like for Washington with that backfield with Austin Eckler down now. But Jacory Croskey-Merritt, I have right after. I think I have him at 28, RB 28.
Yeah, those two are close. I probably lean Hampton, but I could be talked into Kroski-Merritt. I think this is a big week for that Washington backfield to see how they
Yeah.
deploy it. I mean, we've been waiting for Kroski-Merritt to get more touches, and maybe it finally happens.
Certain. I mean, Jalen Warren's looking a lot better.
Oh yeah.
That's who would have thought? Jalen Warren
Oh,
ahead of
he's
Amari and
way
Hampton going
yeah.
into week
Oh,
three. It's
easily.
crazy.
And then
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers was even saying that we need to get Warren the ball more in the passing
Oh,
game.
he's been hyper fixated, it feels like. Like they have a good rapport. And you know what Aaron Rodgers does when he likes a guy and he is just doing exactly what he wants, he's going that yeah, Jalen Warren's going to be rewarded for that. It's one of those. So yeah, Omarion Hampton, unfortunate, but that's just where we're at with him. Again, going up against the Denver Broncos. You're right, David Montgomery against Baltimore. Oh my gosh, tough start. There's tough decisions this weekend. We're going to continue going through them though, because I do want to ask about Cam Skattebo. How high should we have Roma Dunze ranked this weekend and the rest of the way? We're going to go through that. More start sit questions here coming up next. Going through week 3 start sig questions and everything else in between that you need to know heading into it. It is hopefully going to be a great weekend. It is going to be a great weekend, Adam. What am I saying? We've got football, we got college football tomorrow. You know who I was looking at in my rankings this week? Travis Kelce, I think gets a bump just because of everything going on, but he's is not great. It's just one of those things. They're going up. They should win this game. Right. They
So
should win this game.
I will say this. I don't think there's many players in the NFL that we can say that you, me, Ani, and Jimmy can all beat in a race. We can all beat Travis Kelce in a race.
Oh, I can
So
for sure. Yeah. He just, I mean, we've seen it, right? It's just one of those things where it feels like it's not coming back. Even if it's the farewell tour, he's not that guy anymore. And maybe he has some big games, I think, but through week 2, we have not seen it yet. He's still got, I mean, he's got the 22% target share. You're going against a Giants team that gives a 6.7 point boost to pass catchers on teams faced against. So yeah, it's one of those things where, again, I think he's still a mid-range, low-end tight end one because that's just where you have to have him. But that's more about the tight end landscape than anything else.
yeah, look, I pretty sure if you have them, you're playing them at this point, but you were hoping for better, especially with how thin they are at the position. We saw Ertz in week 1 against the Giants, 3 for 26 and a touchdown, and we saw Ferguson absolutely gash them, 9 for 78 on
Yeah.
12 targets. Keep in mind, though, Dallas had the ball. I don't know what they run, like 80, 90 plays, it felt like. So
Yeah.
you're going to see some of the inflated stats. But yeah, this is a week that you would like to see Kelce get it done in a desperation spot for the Chiefs because they are 0-2 playing on Sunday Night Football against the Giants. So this is
Brutal.
this is the big spot where you expect Kelce to come through and score a touchdown.
Yeah, I think so too. I could definitely, yeah, we could beat him in a race.
Oh yeah,
I think all of us line up and we're all
I
winning.
definitely think so.
Yeah, and then me with you.
You would not be able to beat me. I know that.
I'm still gonna stand my ground and say I would.
Okay,
But anyway, we'll figure it out later. We'll just be grown adults running in the street or something, and
what's wrong
people
with
will be
that?
like, what's going on over there?
Doesn't have to
Anyway,
be. We can go to the park, whatever you want.
I think it's even weirder.
No,
I
it's
don't.
not.
Just no grass. I can't do grass.
No
And we'll pull a hammy
turf.
or something. Turf. Yeah, we can do turf
Okay.
or like concrete.
All right.
All right, we'll figure it out. I see some questions coming in here about Skattebo going into this weekend. One saying, should I trade Pacheco for Skattebo? We're just talking about
Yes.
the Chiefs, and really,
Yeah. You wouldn't do that?
I'm really holding out hope for Pacheco, but it's not looking good,
Look,
to be totally honest.
he's got to have a good game this week. Like, look, the first 2 opponents, okay, fine, but it's just they haven't given them the ball enough. I will say that they're giving Kareem Hunt a little too much. It seems like they trust him more. Pacheco has 1 red zone rushing attempt. Mahomes, does he lead them in rushing? He's got it right after
Oh
last week.
God, don't say
I think
that.
so.
Probably.
But yeah, I think this is a real crucial week for Pacheco. The Giants' run defense has been bad. They've allowed the most rushing yards per game. They've allowed a lot of explosive runs, a lot of yards after contact. You got to see something from Pacheco this week. If you don't, then it's time to panic. But I think I would make that deal because Skattebo, it looks like the takeover is beginning.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes does lead the team in rushing, and it's not particularly close,
Close,
Adam.
yeah.
123 yards compared to Kareem Hunt at 47, Isaiah Pacheco at 47, Brashard Smith at 2. Yuck. All
Yeah,
right,
look,
make that.
part of it is that offensive line,
Yeah.
has not been able to get push, right? A lot of Mahomes' yards comes on scrambles. A lot they're not all designed runs. Because the thing with Mahomes is usually he he runs in big games, right? If you go look at his
Mhm.
postseason, he runs a lot. In the regular season, it's like, oh, okay, we'll take it easy, this and that. Oh, you need me in a big spot, I'll run. Obviously, they just have not been able. Part of him is too is receivers not getting open with what they have right now. So yeah, I
Ooh.
think this is a crucial week for Mahomes. I mean Pacheco.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I've got him in one where again, it's just one of those situations where I'm gonna hope that this big week happens this weekend. I know you do too.
I have him in the GST, and like
Yeah.
it's a real weak spot for me right now, and I don't have a better option unless I take a flyer on. Do I have Tootin in that league? No, I don't. Different league.
Mm,
But
yeah,
yeah,
but
I'm basically starting him and praying.
I think that's where we're all at right now, if we're going to be totally honest. Cam Skattebo, the thing with Cam Skattebo is even if we say he's taking over, right? He feels like he's taking over the backfield. We really saw that shift last weekend. Does that not still put him in the RB3 range though, with the
Yeah, for
Skattebo
now.
takeover? Because I look at the New York their offensive line, but I think he has taken over, and I think you look at that, you put it with the offensive line right now, more of an RB3 range for me, but you're really happy with it. I mean, to to think that of all the rookie running backs that we're saying good things about this week, Quinshon Judkins is one, and then we're looking at Jacory, Croskey-Merritt, and Skattebo, just like we expected at him. But I mean, he took over 51% snap share, 55% of the rush share against Dallas in week 2. So you kind of know that he's in a good spot. If you have him this weekend, maybe to potentially get him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, this week is tough, though. That Kansas City run defense is really good. So you got to hope that the volume is there for him. And again, it was 1 week, but it was a good sign. And they gave him a lot of the snaps, too, in the fourth quarter and overtime. But yeah, Kansas City's been pretty good against the run. So it could be a tough matchup this week where maybe he doesn't perform well.
Our guy, Cam Skattebo, he's going to perform well.
You
He's
gave
gonna be
up on
fine.
him.
Are you crazy?
You didn't draft him in many
I've got a
leagues.
shirt coming in the mail, the Angry Run shirt. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that
Oh,
one.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It looks pretty cool. We can match. You want to match?
Yeah, send me one.
All right. Let's
With
do it.
some
Hey,
Folgers.
we're talking with Tori Horton. Let's talk with Tori Horton here coming up next, and we're going to take your phone calls here in the water cooler coming up right after this.
Back here on Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, I'm Adam Ronis, and joining me now, we have a special guest, Seahawks wide receiver Tori Horton. Tori, thanks for joining me today.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, no problem. Obviously, a slow start to the season, week 1, no targets, but week 2, you had a hell of a start to the season. The opening drive, a 21-yard touchdown on your first reception in your NFL career. Did you know that you were going to be more heavily involved in the game plan? And what was that like? I mean, that has to be, outside of a game-winning touchdown, kind of a dream. Your first touchdown is on your first reception of your career.
I feel like, every opportunity or chance, I feel like I'm part of the game plan. If it's 0 targets or 10 targets, I feel like I'm still part of the game plan. So the ball finding me last week was just something that we practiced over and over, and made the most of my opportunities, and just blessed to have that just to have that touchdown, get that first touchdown out the way. But it was an exciting moment, and just ready to keep building with the team.
Are you sure it was exciting? Because I saw Cooper Kupp said you were barely smiling after it, and he was surprised.
It's when you going hard at practice every day, and you preparing, some of those plays are kind of routine to you now. So once I kind of seen the ball in the air, and I grabbed that touchdown, it kind of just went back to those days stacking that practice, and I was excited, but at the end of the day, that's something that we practice and just had some reps at, and once the ball found me, it was just something that was kind of natural. As soon as I got to that open field, I kind of felt the ball was coming to me, and just made the most of my opportunity. So I was excited, but at the end of the day, I still had it in the back of my mind that that's something that we worked on, and I was prepared for that.
Yeah, certainly wide open on that play. Now, you had the knee injury in your senior year, your 5th year of college, and that couldn't have been easy. So after going through that, how did that impact you, and what did you learn about yourself going through that?
Yeah, I feel like every time you're dealing with injury, it has some kind of impact on you physically and, of course, mentally. I just feel like it impacted me in a way that it wasn't bad. Of course, the injury is bad itself, but it showed me more to the game. I took my mental to another level of watching film or studying. Just kind of being engaged with the game without physically being out there, and I kind of bring that tool with me now. With studying players and watching film and coverages and things like that. So it was a good thing for me, and it also teaches you that mental toughness of going through those hard times, and just pushing through so you could get better and better yourself. So it was a good learning curve for me.
Adam Ronis here on Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, joined by Tori Horton, Seahawks wide receiver. Now, a lot of people were saying you were one of the steals of the draft, being selected in the 5th round. When you hear something like that, how do you react to that?
I feel like it's motivation. I really have no words for it. I'm excited that people are saying that, because, everybody has different views on what they see in the player, and hearing that is, some motivation because they could see the impact that I could have on the team. So, hearing that quite a bit is always good. But, at the end of the day, I'm, truly blessed and excited that I landed with the Seahawks. No matter what round I went, I'm happy to be here.
We're seeing a lot of rookies in the NFL off to slow starts, especially at the running back position. Obviously, at receiver, it's a little bit different. But what has been the biggest adjustment to the NFL so far for you?
I'll probably just say the speed and the mental aspect of it. It's a faster game. You got to think more on the fly, quick. Just be on your toes, be quick. So. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot more of like a chess match, and then you kind of let your game go out and play. The smarter side is always going to have that advantage. So it's for sure a big step from college, and college. We thought college was hard, but that NFL you play with the best of the best. So you need every edge of you don't know if that's watching film, taking care of your body, etc. So. That's like the biggest learning curve and the biggest jump.
What are some of the things you're doing to take care of your body that are a little bit different, maybe compared to college?
I'll probably say just recovery all day. From the morning to pre-practice to post-practice, and then even at home. You need your body to have a good career, and that's something that you got to take very seriously. So. Just every opportunity, just want to make sure I'm having the right food intake, just the stretching, just the strengthening and things like that. Just trying to make sure I'm staying on top of everything.
I'm sure sleep is a big part of it. I have a lot of trouble sleeping. Do you have any advice so I can sleep better?
There's some sleep tools that be recommended to some of us. If that's from just controlled breathing. Just black out in your room. That's something that kind of helped me a lot. Making sure I drop the temperature so the room is a little cooler. And then I also have this little red light thing that I kind of look into at times. That kind of it's kind of like a reset button to like kind of slow you slow you down a little bit to kind of have you more relaxed. And I feel like that kind of get me ready for bed at times too. So. There's a lot of different things that people may, it's different ways people may react to those.
All right, I'll look into that. Speaking with Seahawks wide receiver Torrey Horton, who are some of the receivers that you looked up to or modeled your game after?
It was a couple I kind of watched growing up. One of them that I really watched growing up was Javonte Adams. Because him, playing at Fresno State, I'm from Fresno myself, so he's been turning up the league, great routes, one of the best releases off the line and things like that. Just kind of watching his game and trying to imitate some of those things. Same for I like a lot of Omarion, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, some of those people that I kind of try to take from, even Justin Jefferson, who's kind of tearing it up. So those guys are all, creative, savvy route runners. And then I have a, great leader in front of me with Cooper Kupp and his savviness and his route technician and how to create separation and get open. Just very blessed.
Yeah, go into more in depth about that on your team. Cooper Kupp, as you alluded to, and Jackson Smith and Jacory. It's got to be two really good receivers to come into and learn from. What have you picked up from them?
Oh yeah, no, they're great receivers. Coop is a guru to the receiver standpoint of the game, and I've learned a lot from him. Can't really get too much into detail, but it's a lot of things that I learned from Coop. Same with Jack, just his route running. You see it on the field on Sundays and things like that. His ability to get separation, his yak and things like that. So it's very exciting to watch behind them and just be that sponge and keep picking their brain on how they see certain things and how they get open.
How have you liked the Clint Kubiak offense so far? We know it's a strong running game, and your first touchdown came off a play-action pass.
Yeah, it's great. He knows what he's doing with the team. We're all bought into him. We're going in a great direction. I feel like us kind of all being bought in and feeding into the system is opening up, and you guys kind of got a feel for that. In week 2 on how powerful the offense could be once we, play together and get a good grasp of what we're trying to accomplish. And like I said, that just comes with a lot of preparation, a lot more practice, and I feel like we're taking the right steps of being great.
Talking to Seahawks wide receiver Torrey Horton, are there any personal goals that you have for yourself this year in your rookie year?
Oh man, just keep getting better. I kind of look at my goals right now day by day. I just want to get better each and every day, and then those goals towards the end of the year will kind of fall into place. But right now, my goal is to get better every single day and keep taking that one step forward. So that's where I'm at right now.
You definitely opened eyes in training camp. You were getting a lot of positive buzz. I even saw Reek Woolen call you Jerry Rice Jr. So to have that success, how do you stay humble and keep going?
Yeah, I haven't proved anything yet. Still a rookie, came out of 5th round and whatnot. I haven't done anything in season really. So my whole mindset is to keep working, keep grinding. Don't listen to all of the hype outside. Of course, it's nice to hear some of the buzz around, and you have vets and teammates like that come from Reek Woolen who see the improvement, and just the team around that's kind of seen that improvement, and that's something that I kind of worked for, and just want to keep improving to help stack wins for a Seahawks. So I kind of just try to keep my head down, keep working. Not really much of being in the light, but I don't know. I just want to get better.
How much do you know about fantasy football? Have you played it before, or do you have friends or family that ask you about it?
Nah, I don't do any of that. I have never played fantasy. I probably looked into it, but I was never a fantasy football kind of person.
All right, well, it seems at some point you might start having people ask you about it, because once your role grows, and we were drafting you in the deeper leagues this year because of your training camp, so get set for people to start talking to you or thanking you for fantasy production, especially after that touchdown last week.
Yes. Yeah, I don't really know much about that, but that's good. Shoot, I'm happy whoever got me, they got me. But, yeah, that's exciting.
All right, that is Torrey Horton, Seahawks wide receiver. Torrey, appreciate the time, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, that was awesome. We love being able to talk to some of these guys during the season, Adam. We always love when they give us some of that time, because we know how busy they are. We got to talk with you got to talk with Torrey Horton yesterday. We talked with Jeremy McNichols last year. So it's just fun to do that. That was a great interview.
Yeah, definitely, impressive for a rookie too. And, his
Yeah.
story and what he's gone through as well. It can't be easy. He had 2 really good seasons in college and then gets hurt in his senior year, and you're going to fall down the draft board. And we did hear a lot of people say, he was one of the steals of the draft, and he had a great training camp. So, it might take some time. Like this year, like we were taking him in best ball and some of the deeper formats. But it might take some time, though, in this offense, because we know that they're going to run heavy, and his snap counts have not been that high either, because again, it's a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba. But I think for the future, you're feeling good about him. And again, if something happens to one of those receivers this year, you could see him pushed into a more primary role.
And that wide receiver 2 role, for as much as we love Cooper Kupp, we know that that's open for anyone for the taking. So it's one of those things where I have Torrey Horton in a couple, and I think in the next couple of weeks, he might be one. I've already had to let him go in one league because of just the lack of production, and that's okay. That's why we draft those guys later. We say, hey, I hope that this happens, but if it doesn't, he's someone that you can look to and say, waiver wire, this is one of my guys that I have to just let go. But I'm trying to hold on to him just with the possibility that he could, start to come out with the Seattle Seahawks team as they continue to get their groove and everything. He gave you some red light therapy advice. Thank goodness, Adam. You should take that advice, by the way. That's a professional athlete. Just telling you to get some red light therapy or something. I don't know.
That's true. Hey, look, I know rest is very important for these professional athletes. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
for
taking
sure.
care of your body, the fact that, because I've seen players not say that type of stuff until 3, 4, 5 years in the league. Like, it sounds obvious. Your body is your vehicle for
Mhm.
success. And a lot of players, I think, early in their career, they think, I can eat what I want. I can go out. It doesn't matter when. So to have that mentality so early is definitely a good sign.
So you're not gonna make fun of him for 8 hours of sleep? Come on.
No,
At 9
I think
PM?
athletes
Whatever.
need to do it.
Whatever. All right, fine. We got some news here, and it's not good news. Let me just say that since we are in the water cooler, again, fantasylife.com to go subscribe to that newsletter where we are definitely going to be writing about this for tomorrow. But Jaden Daniels has not been spotted at practice today. And this is the wrong side of a Friday practice that we did not want to see, Adam. Again, things could change, obviously, but this is not a good sign for him. And it is kind of signaling, this is per Adam Schefter, that it is unlikely he will be recovered from his knee sprain in time to start Sunday's game going up against the Raiders. So again, that would mean Marcus Mariota comes up and is in line to start for this Commanders team. But again, not great news. Again, we hope, and I hope that because of all the quarterback injuries, and once we heard this knee injury was coming down for Jaden Daniels, that hopefully you went out and got anyone to put on your bench to just say, hey, I'm going to just be careful and cautious about this, but not a good sign for Jaden Daniels on a Friday.
Yeah, and look, like you said, once you saw that there was some concern about the knee for Daniels, you should have gotten another option if you didn't already have a backup quarterback on the roster. And this was a tough week if you had to wait around because there were a lot of people in need of a quarterback off the waiver wire, especially the managers with Joe Burrow. So,
Yeah.
yeah, look, I do think Mariota can put up decent numbers this week. We saw last year he had 2 starts and was pretty good. He had 8 rushing attempts for 45 yards, so he could run a little bit. And it's not like the Raiders' pass defense is that good. So, not a bad streaming option. Maybe DFS play. I haven't looked at his price. I'm sure it's really cheap.
Yeah, it's I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it'll be bad, but hopefully again, you go out there, Superflex has got to have some
Yes.
crazy starts this weekend. I can't imagine who some people have to start this. I didn't get hit with it, thank goodness,
Oh,
but
I did.
that's
I
got
had
to
Joe
Oh, I know
Burrow.
you I know you do. Who you starting this
Fun.
weekend?
Very, very fun
Who
to
you
have Joe
starting?
Burrow. Carson Wentz and Bryce Young. Yeah,
Oh,
it's going
Bryce.
well. It's going well.
Okay, it's fine. It'll be fine. I'm trying to get a trade done in one of my leagues because the person that has Jaden Daniels didn't go to the waiver wire. I did go to the waiver wire. I have Daniel Jones sitting on my bench, one quarterback league. I have
Oh,
Dak
one
Prescott.
quarterback. Okay.
I have Dak Prescott, but I'm trying to get a running back out of it, like Chuba Hubbard. I'm gonna say here, I'll give you, I know, Daniel Jones. You need someone. 0 and
Yeah.
2. You need someone. You
Oh,
got to
yeah.
win this week. Yeah.
That is
So
true. Hey, that's we've talked about that, and we'll
you don't
talk
have
about
to,
it more in
but
the coming weeks, especially when teams start 0 and 3, 0 and 4. If you're in good spot, you can take advantage of those teams because basically it does get to a point where you are week to week. If you start slowly, like 0 and 3, 0 and 4, it doesn't mean you cannot get to the playoffs. You can, but then it does become a week to week situation, and then with bye weeks beginning at that point, you can maybe make a deal that really strengthens your team if you're off to the good start.
that's what and listen, and this is you said it. We're going to be talking about it in the next especially next week with some of these trades, but I have no reason Daniel Jones who I do like, but there's not a lot of times where I'm going to look at that and say I'm going to start him over Dak Prescott. I know that bye weeks are coming up at him, but if you're selling it right now, you're selling Daniel Jones at maybe a peak. And so it's one of those things where could come back to bite me and I could get
Right.
bit with
You
the
you
quarterback
you got
injury,
to
but
do what you need to improve your team. But I will say this because a lot of times we say it's very difficult to trade for quarterbacks. This might be an exception with this
yep.
week. There could be some desperate teams out there, and many times there's one quarterback injury, right? It would be just Burrow, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not really competing with anyone, so I'm gonna get who I want. That wasn't the case this week because you had McCarthy, Burrow, Brock Purdy. They already picked him up last week, and it looks like he can
Yeah.
play this week. And then Jaden Daniels, and I'm missing another one. Who's the other guy?
Fields.
Yes, and Fields too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
There's 5.
so
There's
yeah, so
technically 5.
there was more competition this week on the waiver wire for those quarterbacks. So there could have been a team that did get shut out, and now maybe you can, like Kendall alluded to, maybe in her scenario where you have 2 good quarterbacks, and there's a team out there that just didn't get anyone, and they don't feel comfortable starting any of the other guys. Like I would be, if it was like just Jaden Daniels, I'd be okay picking up Mariota for this week, starting him. But if you had a Burrow and you didn't get Browning or
Yep.
Jones or one, you because that's the whole year, right? That's the whole year. So Wentz will help for Burrow. I don't know, 1 week, 2 weeks, maybe more, but at some point you're going to need another quarterback once McCarthy comes back, assuming McCarthy doesn't lose his job to Wentz.
Oh my gosh. Ugh, I won't even say that that won't happen because we have no idea. Wentz could go out there and look great, which would be again something that that'll be a big conversation for next week. But again, bad news there for Jaden Daniels. Make sure you have a backup if you're looking and looking at week 3 and saying, I've got Jaden Daniels, it's going to be fine. No, on the wrong side, they're not practicing today. I will say one good piece of news though, Emeka Egbuka back at practice this morning. They have, I know, thank goodness.
I needed that. I would have had to replace him in like 17 leagues.
I know our Emeka Egbuka bags are heavy. So they saw him. There's a video. I retweeted it at K Valenzuela. Whoa, at K Valenzuela 17. I don't know what happened there, but they got a video of him practicing today. So that is
big news.
Good.
Someone
What?
just got rolled out.
Who?
Josh Reynolds.
Stop. Get out of here. Don't do I literally was like, there can't be another quarterback. We didn't hear about this. Get out of here. What are you doing? In the water cooler as well?
Oh,
When people are trusting us? Come on.
So wait, outside of the water cooler, it's fine, just not
Yeah.
in the water cooler. Okay, I didn't know what the rules were. Thank you.
I really did. For a second, I thought, wow, I don't think there could be any other quarterback, but oh my gosh, get out of here. All right, we're going to continue on. We've got a lot more to talk about here, including more start sit decisions. I see some of your messages over there on X, so we are going to get to those phone lines as well. But do want to go through Jacory Croskey-Merritt, where we have him in the rankings for this weekend. Jerry Jeudy as well. Gotten a lot of questions on him. We're going to do that. Juwan Johnson, a lot more names here coming up next. Oh, it sure is. And going to fantasylife.com. We are here to help you as always. Same with fantasylife.com. Use that code SXM20, gets you 20% off any tier 1 or tier 2 subscription over there. Like I always say, we've got a great start sit tool. We've got projections for week 3, Adam rest of season ranks. We've got everything that you need to make those smart and tough lineup decisions. So we are here for you. I see some questions coming in here, Adam, that I want to make sure we get to a couple of them and continue going through some of the other matchup questions that I have for you this weekend. From Chris here, looking at, would you go James Conner or Travis Etienne this week? Full point PPR, said keep crushing. Thanks, Chris. What do you think here? Conner, Etienne?
I think I lean Etienne at this
Etienne.
point.
Yeah.
Connor has had 2 favorable matchups the first 2 weeks, and he's disappointed. Now, I think he found the end zone in both games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's just that we've seen Benson really cut into his workload at this point. So yeah, I'm going Etienne right now. He's looked good. Connor gets San Francisco. Etienne gets Houston. I know that's a pretty good defense as well. But the way
Yeah.
Etienne's usage is right now, he's more involved in the passing game. That yeah, I'm playing Etienne over Connor.
Caleb Williams or Justin Herbert. This is on X again at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis. I think I've got Herbert higher this
Yeah,
week.
that's actually very
That's
close
tough.
because of the Dallas defense.
Yes.
But it's tough for me to sit Herbert right now. I know Denver's a pretty solid defense, but
It's gonna be a
Herbert's
tough
running
game.
too.
I know.
Yeah,
It's pretty close.
it is. I do think it's close. Like if sometimes when people ask these questions, they have someone in mind and they just want confirmation. So if you want to go Caleb Williams, like I wouldn't talk you out of it, but I would go. I lean slightly Herbert a little higher.
Yeah, Herbert's just a little bit higher in my rankings as well. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. There's a lot of big decisions. Obviously, every week, big decisions to make. But I want to know with Jacory Croskey-Merritt. We mentioned him at the top of the show just a little bit, but expectations, that's the thing, because I've seen some people just say I don't want to risk it yet, I don't want to give him the start. Others are saying, hey, it's because we don't have Austin Eckler here anymore. What is this backfield going to look like? It has to be Bill's season. And so he got off, we saw it, he got off to the fast start, 14.2 fantasy points in week 1, then was held to less than 2 fantasy points in week 2. So are you more worried about what we've seen so far from Croskey-Merritt, or do you think because of the injuries, because of its next man up mentality, that Jacory is just going to have a role that you don't want to ignore?
Yeah, I think he's like, I wouldn't say he's a must start. It really depends on what you have. I am going to be starting him, I think, in a league or 2. He should get a lot of opportunity for the early down work. My guess is McNichols does play a little bit of an Eckler role, and then we'll see if Rodriguez is active and maybe getting some goal line carries. But this is a better spot than it has been the first 2 weeks for
Yeah.
Croskey-Merritt. So I do think he's just outside the RB2 range for me.
And I'm interested to see what Chris Rodriguez looks like, what Jeremy McNichols looks like, and what some of the rest of them, because I wrote them up for this weekend for the for week 3 waiver wire. But I put, in the notes, I said, hey, it doesn't feel like they're startable right now. We need to wait and see what this is going to look like. So I know a lot of us might, with some of these running backs and some of the questions, might be in a tough spot, but it feels like with those two, with the other two, you just don't really want to mess with it. Let's wait and see what the whole thing looks like, who takes what role, and everything else like that. But I feel like you're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think there are some people who are in dire need of running back, and maybe they have underperformers, and you have Croskey-Merritt, and you'll put him in this week and hope he gets 12 to 14 carries and finds the end zone. That's what you're hoping for.
Another question here at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis. Running backs are rough. Hey, join the club here. Week 3, do I go Pacheco or Judkins? Not standard scoring, 1 point per reception, touchdown heavy, yardage bonuses every 50.
See, so that's close because, like, as good as Judkins looked last week, we still saw Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson.
And
Now
they've got Green Bay.
yeah, Green Bay. It's just I would probably lean Pacheco and hope he does well against the
It's
Giants.
that
But
close.
as you can tell, I am not confident about.
What? No, that sounded very confident.
I mean, Green Bay's run defense has just been so
It's
good
been
at this
tough.
point. And what's going to happen more than likely is that Cleveland plays from behind is going to be forced to put it in the air a lot. But you got to be impressed with Judkins, his role.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
the way he played last week in his first game with limited practice. Now, he only played 26.4% of the snaps, but had 13 touches. So basically, when it was on the field, all right, here you go. But we did see Jerome Ford as the pass catching back end in the 2-minute offense. So, but the problem is, yeah, you're dependent on a touchdown because this Packers defense has just been phenomenal against the run.
Yeah, and like you said, Judkins played well in that game last weekend. And when you look at the 10 carries, 3 targets, 19 snaps, Jerome Ford, like you said, still led in backfield snaps for Cleveland at 35, second week in a row there. And I think he'll still be in line for some of the pass. I think he'll still be in line for some of the pass catching work, to be totally honest here. But you only with how they talked about Quinshon Judkins, where they took him in the draft. This is what we've always said. Hey, you're going to figure that they're going to increase that role week after week after week. We just don't know. I think he's in the RB3 mix this week, but it's a fringe flex play. And I think that's where the questions start coming in is when is it going to happen? When are we going to start seeing that change here? But the Packers defense, they've held opposing running backs to 2.4 yards per carry, which is the second lowest so far this season. And that's a tough matchup. But yeah, that one's gonna be close. I only have him one place, and I don't know if I'm gonna start him yet this week, Quinshon Judkins, but we're getting pretty close.
Yeah, you would expect his role to grow each week, and then of course, I guess there's still a potential suspension that you have to look out for.
Yes, yes. I don't know. I haven't heard anything on it. I would expect it because he met with the league officials on that. What was that? That was a Thursday when he missed that practice. So we'll keep an eye on it. But right now, looking like a fringe flex play. The other side of this game, by the way, can I just say, if Tucker Craft's good to go, but Matthew Golden, are you starting Matthew Golden this week because you look around and you say, okay, well, Jaden Reed unfortunately went down in their last game. He has to get more targets, right? Or no? I've got
Yeah,
heavy
look, he
Matthew Golden
should.
legs.
I think it's difficult to start him yet because what are you basing it on? Just players being out. We see them spread the ball around. He did play more after Jaden Reed left the game with an injury. He was close to a full-time player, but the
Mhm.
target share wasn't there at all. So I think you want to see something first. But like you said, with Reed out, that should help Golden again. And maybe we look at him differently if those one of the two plays were made, the one that was underthrown
Exactly.
and one
Yeah.
overthrown. So we're feeling a little bit better. But it's just they spread the ball around so much.
It's been a it's always been a frustrating team. I don't know why my expectations should have been any different going into this season, but yeah, we'll take a look at that. I have to start him in a couple places. There's just no other better options for me. Unfortunately. I think a lot of people are in that spot though.
Probably, yeah, with maybe some, it's especially because he started to rise. He started to go as
Oh,
early as
yeah.
the seventh round. So if you're
Mhm.
playing in a league with three receivers and a flex or two flexes, maybe he's the best you can do. And again, you got to hope that he can hit a big play because they were close.
Yeah. Hey, last one here. Just talking about risers and fallers that I was looking at through the week. Shout out to Juwan Johnson, our tight end 6 going into this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks. We listen. Him getting that money in the offseason, that 30 million, was a great sign for him. And obviously, they were just going to make him part of their plans. But the way that he has started this season, if you were able to pick him up off the waiver wire, you're probably looking at him as someone that you're starting ahead of other guys that you drafted because we have him ahead of, I mean, Zach Ertz, Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts, David Njoku, TJ Hawkinson. Even for me, I have him ahead of Kelce this week. Some of our other rankers don't, but I do. So a shout out to Juwan Johnson. Again, New Orleans Saints going on the road playing against Seattle in that defense. But yeah, tight end 6 is pretty good for him.
Could you imagine saying that before the year that
Nope.
you would start in week 3, Jawan Johnson over Travis Kelce? But look, I was able to add Juwan Johnson in the league where I had Kittle. Thank goodness. He has been great so far, 25% target share. He has 3 red zone targets. And, the Saints offense has been able to move the football too. So I think there were a couple things because I did look at that contract and I was like, why is his ADP so low? And I was like, all right, I guess I'm missing something. Uh, I think I did take him in a couple best balls really late, but not in redraft. And then no one did, unless it was a tight end premium league where a lot of the tight ends were drafted. But this is a good spot for
Yeah.
Jawan Johnson and the injuries to the other players that the Saints had on the roster at tight end, Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill. It's opened it up, and I would expect another solid game from Jawan Johnson this week.
He's playing a near every snap role.
Yeah,
That's just,
I
I
think
mean,
I
it's
think week 1
crazy.
was 96%, right?
Yeah, it was way up there. And again, it sure, yes, could it change once Foster Moreau and or Taysom Hill, whatever, are off the pup list? Sure, but like for now, you just have to be really happy with it. And you're pretty much starting him in a lot of spots this weekend. And by the way, Seattle Seahawks. What was the stat I saw? They are giving up the fewest. They've allowed the fewest fantasy points to receivers and second fewest to the perimeter. So Olave, Shaheed get a little bit of a downgrade this weekend.
Yeah, they have a good defense. I did actually
Yeah.
pick them up last week and
Oh,
start
nice.
them. So I was happy for that Caleb Johnson miscue because I got some
No
points
kidding.
there. Um,
I was too.
but yeah, and Seahawks
Yeah.
at home this week in a
Shout out.
winnable game against the Saints, favored by 7.5.
I hope so. You know what? I'm a little bit nervous about it, and I hope I don't have to. I took him in the Survivor Bowl
As
that
one
we're
of your
in.
picks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Did
Yep.
I? I don't. I did take the Bills in one of them.
I have left the Bills so far. I
I
took him
just
in.
said it. Yeah, you could save them. There's plenty of spots, but since there's 3 entries, I said I'll just do them
Yeah,
in one, just
burn one of
to
them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's because you don't want to wait too long. That's the thing. Sometimes people wait a little bit too long for those very specific matchups. But yeah, I took the Seahawks, so they're gonna be fine. Their Seahawks will get a win, and the Mariners will sweep this
I
weekend.
don't know
That's what
about
we're hoping.
that, but
Okay, come on, just say
but
it for me.
all right, yes, let's go Mariners. I
Yeah,
am rooting for
thank
them,
you.
except for
Yes.
tonight. I have Hunter Brown on my fantasy
What are you
team, so
talking about
sorry.
except for tonight?
But I will say this with Survivor, like we have not had a destructive week so far. Last
No.
year, I think week 1, and it might have been week 2. Like last year was brutal. We really have not had that massive week to sink the pool yet. Is it this week?
No,
I,
stop.
no,
Why
I'm
would you say that?
asking. It's a
No, it's
legitimate
not.
question.
Oh, I it's gonna happen. Here's the thing. It's gonna happen eventually, right? Because you
Yeah.
said it last year at this time, it was absolutely brutal. You were looking around and saying, "Where did everyone go?" They took since the Cincinnati was the big one.
Yeah, week
So,
1 against the Patriots
I
last year.
mean, listen, I hope it's not this weekend, and if it is, I hope it's none of the teams that I picked, but eventually you're right, it will happen. Uh yeah, not this weekend though. We can't do that. Don't say that. Take
Or
it
you
back.
just don't want to be on the most popular play when it happens. That's all.
Exactly. Exactly. We're going to go through Go Hard or Go Home presented here by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Got some fringe flex players, some fringe starters. I want to see if you think they're going to go hard or go home for us this weekend. We're going to do that here coming up next. Are you trying to take your fantasy football game to the next level? You're drafting the top players, making those shrewd waiver wire moves, and maybe even pulling off a blockbuster trade or two. But what about the next generation of athletes? If you or someone you know has a high school athlete looking to elevate their game, then Premier National Sports is the team to help them through that entire process. Just like you rely on Fantasy Life for the edge in your league, high school athletes and their families can trust Premier National Sports as a recruiting and NIL resource. They provide personalized recruiting strategies and NIL education to help rising high school stars shine. Don't let talent go undiscovered. Check them out and get in touch with their team today at premiernationalsports.com. That's premiernationalsports.com. Help them go pro so you can draft them in a few years. Oh, we sure have you covered right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you. Fantasy Live. Time for Go Hard or Go Home here, presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade, the official drink of those who go hard for their league. We're going to get into it here, Adam. I've got some more rapid fire names to get through, and then we're going to try and get over to the phone lines. Appreciate everyone being patient over there. But I mentioned it really quickly earlier. Matthew Golden, does he go hard or go home for us this weekend? I have a fear that it's a go home situation, but
Yeah, I think you have to go home for now. It's
mm,
probably going to get better, or so we hope, with Jaden Reed out. It just eliminates another potential target. But we just see in this offense, they spread the ball around again. Rookies tend to get off to slow starts and had a couple of opportunities for some big plays that just weren't converted. And at some point they will. But for now, we're going to have to go home.
Michael Pittman Jr. go hard or go home this weekend. When we're looking at him, maybe he's going to get some of that coverage from L'Jarius Sneed, who shattered Cortland Sutton when he was on the field week one. But what are your expectations for Pittman this weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna say go hard. It's a better matchup here against
Okay.
Tennessee. We did see Snead follow Adams last week, Devontae
Yeah.
Adams, and obviously Adams did well. We knew Pittman last week would be a slow week with Patrick Surtain, who didn't. It wasn't a full shadow, but
Mhm.
did see him for quite a bit of time, and that we knew we had to lower him in the rankings. But I think it's a better situation for Pittman this week.
Yeah, I agree too. I think I looked though. I do not have him anywhere. As much as I thought I did, I do not have him in as many places. I just wasn't going there. He's always a guy I think every single year I just say, okay, like Michael Pittman, I'm fine with it, but not someone that I've been overly drafting over the last couple of years. But I still like him.
Yeah, I think the price was way more affordable this year, and a lot of it was because there was a period where we didn't know who the quarterback would be. Once we found out it was Daniel Jones, I think he became more appealing.
All right. Okay. I want to know on this one because I think I'm a little bit split here. Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. I want to know what your expectations are for both of them because I might be in a spot, and I'll probably hate it, but I might be in a spot where I actually look at both of them and say, I think both of them could go hard this weekend, but that might be me being a little bit too optimistic.
Well, I think you definitely feel much better about Stevenson right now. He's been the lead back. He's playing more snaps. He's getting the red zone attempts. So he's averaging 12 and a half touches per game. He's been good so far. With Henderson, we know it. We're preaching patience here. It's
No.
not gone as planned. He's played fewer snaps. Last week, he had some holding penalties. Pass protection was an issue, and it just hasn't happened yet. We know he has the ability to be explosive. I think in most situations right now, if you have Henderson, you want to try to avoid starting him until we see the role grow. But there were a lot of people who took him in the third, fourth round where you might not have better options right now.
I just want to say nice things about him, but I
Look,
know
the
we
good thing is, look, this Steelers defense has not been anywhere close to what we expected. I
exactly.
think most people expect the Steelers to have a good defense this year. They have been horrendous.
Yeah, to say the least, it's been horrendous. So I think eventually, right? And that's been the conversation with us with all the rookies. And it's not going to be all of them. Listen, we said this at the beginning of the year. We like all these rookies, but not all of them, right, can be the ones that pan out. Someone's going to fail us and not outperform their ADPs. But I think, and this hasn't happened yet for Travion Henderson. The expectations was that he was going to take lead back duties from Ramondre Stevenson. And Ramondre, for what it's worth, looked good last week too. I mean, he was able to put up fantasy points for you. And so I think Henderson has played well when he's needed to, and there are obviously some things he needs to get better at. But when I'm looking at the Steelers defense, they allowed 16 plus fantasy points to both Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. Again, might not happen for both of them, but I'm holding out hope. Out of all the rookie running backs that we're worried about right now, who are you confident in the most? Because we've said, okay, be patient, be patient. Who are you confident in the most, though, that in a couple weeks we'll say, okay, here we go, this is exactly what we expected? Because right now it's a question mark for almost all of them. Like, I want to say Ashton Genty because Pete Carroll comes out and says, yeah, we're going to get, Genty's
That's
going to
the
continue
easy
to get
one,
better.
though,
Yeah, that's the
right?
easy
Because
one.
the role has been there. He has
Exactly.
lost some passing down work, but you would think, all right. And even Genty was saying that the speed of the NFL has taken him by surprise a little bit. You don't expect players to say that openly. But
Yeah.
especially for a guy drafted that early at 6th overall, a running back. But
I
that's
think
the
for
easy
me,
one.
I
That's the
think for
layup.
me it's Henderson.
I
I
think
think
so
for
for
me
me
it's
too.
Henderson,
Yeah.
which is scary because that means we're not talking about Omarion Hampton, who went earlier than Henderson. RJ Harvey was going after Henderson, and I still think that he eventually will get a good role. But it's now we're in the range of like, okay, are they just going to live up to their ADP for some of those early picks like Omarion Hampton and Ashton Genty? That's the big question.
Yeah, the expectations were high for Henderson, Harvey, Hampton, based on where they were drafted. So again, we have seen many times over the last several years, these running backs do take some time to get going. So you do need to be patient and just remember that too for next season. If you are going to take a rookie running back early, that unless they're taken in the top 10, it
Yeah.
could take some time.
Well, we knew it. What was going to go wrong talking about all these rookies? Nothing could ever go wrong, right? It's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, go. I want to do go hard or go home. Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts actually is in a really good spot in our rankings this weekend, going up against the Carolina Panthers, and I have him at tight end 10.
Ah,
I've yet to break him into the inside 9, 8, 7, 6, but he's at tight end 10 for me this week. I feel like that's nice enough. It's good.
yeah, we know you're a Pitts hater. It's
No,
pretty obvious. He burned you,
mm,
and you have never forgiven
how
him.
many years ago? It was, it's like how many years
No,
have we
you
been
must
going
have
through
taken
this?
him
But this is
last year
good.
too.
I don't, maybe on, you know what? Ani and I might have in
You
GST.
probably did, yeah, because
Yeah.
you
So
definitely
there's
seem.
something, I like him as a person, but yeah, I just couldn't do anything. But tight end 10 going into this weekend, Carolina, I think it's a good matchup. And again, we talk about the tight end landscape all the time. You just kind of have to flow with what's going on. That's why we say Juwan Johnson, consensus tight end 6 over at fantasylife.com. That's how quickly things change. So Kyle Pitts, again, it's a nice matchup for him. It should be.
Third most fantasy points per game to tight ends allowed by
Wow.
Carolina. And yeah, Pitts has looked good. I think he's maybe finally healthy. So I guess the one concern is, though, how much do they pass in this game? Because we saw last week with the game script in their favor, they ran the ball a ton against Minnesota and really didn't pass much. So that's the only concern this week, because this looks like a game that Bijan Robinson should
Oh,
feast. He should go
should.
off. But yeah, I do think Pitts is right around that tight end 1 this week.
You've got a lot of Bijan. You
Uh,
should.
I think I do. Well, maybe not as much as I think.
I
At
know you were
least,
very high. You were high
oh
on him.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
when you got those first overall picks, sometimes I know you were having him ahead of
I didn't.
Saquon Barkley.
Yes, I did
Yeah.
have him ahead of Barkley. I didn't have any number 1 picks this year, so I have no Jamar Chase. He was the consensus, but I had a few 2s and 3s, and in those situations, it was either Bijan, which it's now back to Bijan, right? It's not Bijan
Yeah.
anymore, right?
Yeah, back to
Bijan
well,
Robinson
so
until he
they
changes it
had
in 2 weeks.
No,
come on.
we have to respect. No, he got on they were doing the things, right? That's where we saw that because they had him on screen and they said, "What would you prefer?"
Yeah.
And it's his grandma likes Bijan, but he said he prefers Bijan. And then when he's doing the headshot thing where they say, "Oh, Bijan Robinson, whatever," he said it like that. So I'm back to Bijan.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I was either him or CD Lamb usually at 2-3 for me. So I do have a few. It's probably only two. I don't know. I lost track.
It's gonna be I need more of him and I don't we're already too late at him. I don't have more of him. Last one for go hard or go home, and then I'm gonna go through our favorite flex plays for the week. But we mentioned him at the top. I've just seen a ton of questions on him, but Quinton Johnston, I think he's in a lot of people's flex right now. Do you think he's gonna go hard or go home for week 3?
I'm gonna say since he could see a lot of Patrick Surtain or see him more often than maybe the other receivers, I'll say go home for this week.
Ugh. Is that because I'm starting him? Is that why? You just don't care?
No, it has nothing to do with that. Look,
That's
I'd
fine.
be
That's
happy if
fine.
I
I'll
had him.
remember it.
I'd be happy if I had him right now. I did pick him up off waivers in a league after week 1. Look, a lot of people did not want him. He's looked good. That offense has looked good. And yeah, it is being spread around. That's the only thing. There's going to be some weeks where he disappoints because it'll be a big Lad McConkey, Keenan Allen game. But you got to like what you're seeing from this offense right now and the way Justin Herbert is playing. So I think if you have Johnston, you're pretty happy because you either drafted him late or you got him off the waiver wire.
All right, that was Go Hard or Go Home here, presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade, because like we always say, you don't want to play it safe and your league mates don't want you to either. So make sure you go hard, go home over there with Mike's Hard Lemonade. Now we're going to get into, Adam, our favorite flex plays for the weekend going into week 3. I'm curious who you like this weekend. Where are you at with Travis Hunter? Could he be a favorite flex play for some people? I know, depending on when you drafted him, where it was, that, again, the options might be thin, but what do you think for Travis Hunter? I've seen that question here today, too.
I am concerned.
Are you?
Yeah,
All
he
right.
has not looked great so far against press coverage. He's had a tough time getting open. Uh, yeah, I do have him in one league, and I have been starting him, but yeah, I'm a little worried about Travis Hunter right now and his adjustment here. Now he did play a lot of corner last week because they had an injury, so I don't know if that was a factor, but it's been a lot of short passes to him, nothing deep.
Yeah, it's not been good. And again, it's disappointing because of what our expectations were, right? It was like, okay, if he's going to play a little bit more on offense, then we're going to be happy to start him. But going into this weekend, yeah, in Jacksonville, just in general as a whole, a little bit worse off than I expected them to be going into the season. Tyler Algier, running back for the Atlanta Falcons, is he a flex play this weekend?
Oh, well, I don't want to
I
say
don't.
flex play, but I do think if you're in a desperate situation, now always predicting game script can be dicey because sometimes it doesn't go as planned. But we alluded to the fact that they could be in control in this game against Carolina, who has been pretty bad against the run. And look, they are using Algier, much to the dismay of those with
Yeah,
Bijan
yeah.
Robinson. He has double digit
He's
touches in both games so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, and he's someone I like this weekend as well. Again, fantasylife.com. That's where you can go check out all of our rankings. Everyone, have a great Friday. Have a great week 3. We'll see you on Monday.